back there.
You gotta get that aperture.
What do you
just
think
right.
I'm doing? Look at my picture.
That's not racist. That's not racist.
We're on.
It's just gonna steadily get darker and darker, along with our conversation.
That's racist.
Are we live now?
We're live. Yeah, I have.
We're live?
I have Keith cropped. So.
You have Keith cropped.
Oh man.
So if you have Keith cropped, that would be an inside joke.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, you really do have a crop. Good job.
Yeah, I can't see, so I can't see him. So
Keith, smile, Keith.
I'm smiling.
You gotta hand it to the guy. He can hold a pose.
All right, can we start this thing? I thought we were keeping on.
it's on.
We're
live.
We're live,
We
guys.
say that every time, and every time it's like 3 hours.
These dirtbags know what it's up, man. What's cracking, everyone?
What's up?
Good evening. Good evening. Man, it's been a while. How long's it been?
It's like a week,
Months?
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks.
Feels like it's been forever.
Been even longer since Matt joined us because I usually tell him about 28 seconds
Afterwards.
before.
Hey, we were on last night.
Why didn't you come?
Wait,
Should've
Matt,
joined.
where did the light come from? There was dark a second ago.
Oh,
I think
mean,
Keith smiled, and now it's
Yeah,
bright.
right. Keith smiling. My screen lit up. Lit me up.
all right. Let's get started. We have a few things going on. We have a couple case studies we want to cover. Tommy's going to do his Tech Talk. Is that right, Tommy?
That's correct, sir.
The deal you did, the Tech Talks, and then Chris, you got a case study, don't you?
I got a little something.
Oh, so the meat and potatoes is going to happen
At
the
2:30.
beans and Franks are going to happen.
Frank the Bane. Frank the
2:30
Bane.
in the morning. But we wanted to kind of touch base on a few other things. There's some pretty cool. There's always cool events going on. Man, we're in full effect. We went so long without in-person training, and now we have conferences. It seems like every month. But I did invite Sean on. Thanks for coming on, Sean. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about the Accelerate event pretty soon, and Sean is going to kind of talk about what he's going to be doing. He's doing a class at the Accelerate event. Pretty excited about that. He's going to talk about that. Rich and I will talk about a class that we're going to do, and then before we get started with all that, we wanted to kind of recognize Mario for the things he's been doing in South Florida. Mario, is it the South Florida Training Conference? Is that what you've been calling? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, South Florida Automotive Conference.
Automotive Conference.
It's whatever stuck, you know what I mean? There's so many different.
Well,
Yeah.
we called ours Accelerate, and then we realized that Motor Age had an event called Accelerate, so we stole theirs, but without knowing it. But so you've been doing that like 3 years now, or how long has that been going on?
Almost, yeah. I think almost 3 years, maybe just touching on 3 years. It actually was supposed to be just people hanging out,
Yeah,
and it turned into a training thing, and it hasn't stopped since. So
yeah.
I'm
It's a
pretty
good
excited
time.
about it.
I mean, I've only been
Yeah.
the last time, and it was a pretty cool experience. So, and it's like the one coming up is like the 8th one, isn't it?
Yeah,
In less than
8th
3
one.
years, you've had 8. That's crazy. You're a workhorse, man. So, what is the date for the next one?
the next one will take place on July 29th. So
Ooh, 10 days.
in a couple days, yeah,
Crap,
10
man.
days.
I gotta start writing that class.
Yeah, Rich, you're going to be teaching.
How to make bricks.
Okay.
Programming.
You'd have to clarify.
Practical programming.
We're all pretty familiar with making bricks.
Rich, are you standing in a fan right now?
Is that you hear that?
A little bit.
Hold on. Okay, sorry. Is that better, or is it still buzzing?
Better.
It's
What?
better. I'm out in my garage, so I need a freaking fan here in Florida.
Need more than a fan.
Yeah.
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 It's been crazy. I'm gonna put my 1 day notice for that event. Maybe I'll make it.
If it's any consolation, the event will have AC at least.
You hear that, Rich?
Rich is doing a class. You got anything else lined up? How long is it your class, Rich? Is it 3 or 4 hours or?
It's about 20, 25 minutes.
Oh, okay. Cool.
No, I don't know. It'll go as long as it needs to until they tell me to shut up. So, I mean, when it
a couple weeks.
Yeah, when it comes to programming, and there's going to be a bunch of really sharp guys there, I think it's going to be a good conversation more than a class, because I think everybody knows how to sign up for a website. So we probably don't have to discuss how to enter your name into a website, but we'll just talk about what you need to know and what to be aware of, and we'll cover as many manufacturers as I'm comfortable talking about. So if anybody wants BMW information, you're on your own.
Oh, that's Mario's got
literally
that presentation put together.
That's like literally the easiest one to sign up for. You pay the money and you sign in.
You just use
Yeah,
Autel.
but it takes a month. I'm still waiting for that.
Well,
so,
you have like 2 updates a day, so there's that.
Yeah. So I'm not there yet with BMW. Let's just say that.
I was going to do a Suzuki, Saab, Mitsubishi programming class.
Saturn.
Suzuki, Saab, Saturn.
And
Yeah,
Daewoo.
some
Don't forget
Pontiac.
Daewoo.
Daewoo.
That one too.
Get some
Daewoo.
Pontiacs in there.
That's cool. You got anybody else? I know you usually have a couple things going. Is anybody else presenting, Mario?
Not this time. Rich will be the exclusive
Oh,
instructor.
man. Speaking of,
pressure's
he's got his only fan with him tonight, I guess.
Has anyone signed up yet?
Oh, damn, Matt.
Dude,
We don't
no one has signed up. You know why?
Anybody who did just canceled.
Yeah,
They gotta wash
made
their
sure
hair
of
that
that.
day or something.
yeah.
Well,
I don't really do like a whole sign up thing. I just tell people to show up, and they just show up, and then you have people who don't say they're going, and they show up anyway.
We'll just
Or,
advertise AC in Florida. I think it'll get going up. And then,
I mean,
and since it is Florida, advertise free meth, and then it'll be right
Well,
there.
I mean, he's got free breakfast, free lunch, and AC. So yeah,
It's an
he gets a
amazing
pretty good crowd.
It's like
event.
no
I mean,
excuse except for the traffic, maybe.
it's-
How many people did you have at the last one?
Say about
Over 100.
Yeah,
No kidding. Wow.
yeah. I think you were expecting. You had 80 the time before, and you were expecting about 100, and that's about what it looked like to me.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. We had Paul Danner on the last one, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that was right after the flood too, so that was nuts.
That he's a trainer or something?
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of him, but
got this little YouTube
only-
channel,
Little?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he just
yeah,
makes shirts.
He teaches
Cool
him to pair
shirts.
it on his shoulder.
Oh, I thought that was a South Dakota shirt. All right, sorry.
It's bad with the humor.
What
No,
a
man,
dump.
it's pretty cool. I mean, I invited you on today, not so much because you need to promote the event because you get such a good crowd there as it is, but mostly just to kind of recognize your efforts, man. 8 in less than 3 years, that's a big deal. And I think every time you do it, you kind of share the concept, and the concept is just to hopefully inspire people to fall in love with training. And you give it to them for free so that they can get a taste of it. It's like you're selling crack, basically, which is kind of cool. Diagnostic crack.
For what it's worth, I really appreciate you guys. Because this all started with you guys. I remember 2019, you guys sent me out to Super Saturday, and that got the ball rolling, and it's insane because it's like full circle now.
You
Yeah,
get the
that's
proverbial
awesome.
axe throwing, you know?
Oh,
Oh wow.
Oh yeah,
Memories.
wow.
Oh,
Was
dude,
that-
I got a video somewhere of Mario throwing an axe.
The
That
axe,
motherfucker is
that axe
angry.
went through the wall.
Did he do it like boomerang
like
style, where he threw
98
it behind him and it came around?
98 miles per hour.
I threw it like how I would throw knives. I used to throw knives. That was like how I had fun as a kid.
Oh, you were having some fun. I was terrified.
Nothing was as
What
scary as
What Mario didn't tell you is he just got out of prison before 29.
I thought it was culinary school and it was butter knives.
I was going to say he did tryouts.
That's
for
pretty
Wild
racist
Den.
too, man. Telling you.
nothing was as
Yeah, that
scary
was
as
good
that guy
times.
walking around the bar with the custom axes and the fingerless gloves, though. he was creepy.
What?
Dude, did it look like Dog the Bounty Hunter? I can't remember.
Not far off. Yeah, it was. He was intense.
No, I didn't notice.
Yeah, you were
We
too
got to
busy
do that again.
knocking axes through the targets.
Are you going to Super Saturday, Maury?
I'm not sure. I haven't committed. I haven't
I mean, you
committed
don't have to go
that
to events
particular event.
anymore when you're doing 8 every 3 years. You don't have to do any, right? When I
I
started
would love
doing
to go
events, I
back.
was thinking the same. I figured, well, we'll bring some trainers to us. I don't have to go. I don't have to send my team all over the country to attend training. But I kind of gave up. I don't know. The last one was shot
Gotten and easy.
gotten and easy. Yeah. So, but
Yeah, I remember
I
that
don't
one.
have that video of Mario.
bummer.
When are we gonna do some up here, Fonzo?
Like what? You did something. We could do Manic Monday.
Isn't Canada on fire, man?
Most of
I hope we
it.
wanna go
Just
there.
right above us.
You're pretty much South Canada, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
take off, eh?
I was just gonna
Losers.
say I was in your mother country the other day, actually.
You did what?
The
with your
what?
mom? What?
I was in Canada.
Oh,
So
putting out
All I
fires?
heard was you were in his mother. And then
Yeah,
you
I
said
heard that
country.
too.
other country,
I was just gonna let it go.
motherland, whatever you call it.
Well, somebody had to say it.
You're up there putting out fires, or?
I did meet his mother.
Starting fires.
Yeah, I introduced Brenda, my mom, and dad.
It's awesome. We
Seriously.
sat down and
he
we
gets
sat
the
down in our
Christmas
pajamas
cards.
and watched old reruns. It's pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
He gets the Christmas cards now. I don't. I'm out.
Everybody sees Bryn as a sweet, nice guy, and all I remember is Bryn with a leaf bikini you were wearing.
What?
Man,
In
what
the
the hell's
at
up
the
with
Florida,
Memphis?
the Orlando.
Why don't they
event.
do another event in Orlando? Well, we're gonna have
That
an
shit
event.
was
Speaking of,
that was fucking fun. Training,
Speaking of Orlando.
training, pool, and a shitty airplane ride back to Chicago.
that was a great ass weekend, man.
Yeah.
That
But
was
we're
fun.
doing it again. I hope you guys can join us, man. Accelerates the former ASA Florida, now Florida Auto Care Alliance. Briefly, I'll just kind
What's
of
it stand for? Flaca?
Yeah, Flaca. What's that mean in Spanish?
Skinny? Like you, Brittany.
A skinny girl.
Definitely not me.
A couple years ago, the Automotive Service Association, after 50 or 60 years, they dissolved the affiliate configuration that they had. And so we had the choice to just kind of become ASA Southeast and really, kind of dissolve basically the franchise, is lack of a better term, or do something on our alliance, which is, for those of you that don't know, Midwest Auto Care Alliance is the one responsible for vision, and then the Northwest Auto Care Alliance is the one responsible for ATE. So we're now Florida Auto Care Alliance. We did foundations 2019, I think late 2019. That was a pretty good event at the Daytona International Speedway. The ASA Southeast is still doing the foundations event at the Speedway in November. I think it's the same weekend as Super Saturday. But the Florida Auto Care Alliance is doing an event called Accelerate in Orlando, which it's October 13th and 14th. 14th is the day of training. We're going to have, we have on the schedule now, we have at least 4 technical classes and like 6 management classes. We're probably going to have, 8 technical classes and like 8 management classes, if not more. I think it's more than 8 management classes, and then we're probably going to add another technical class or 2. We've got Sean Tipping doing his class we'll talk about in a moment. Richard and I are doing a class we'll talk about. John Thornton's doing 2 classes. And then Jim Morton's doing a class. He's going to be teaching an efficient diagnostic strategy type thing. We'll talk about that briefly here in a minute. And then last but not least, Keith Afazio has been really a big help with trying to kind of secure us Adam Robertson and Gary Smith to teach as well. I don't think that's quite a done deal yet, so but we're hoping to get them added and put them on the schedule as well here any day. So Florida Care, I'll tell you the website real quick. unless somebody wants.
I do love an Adam Robertson class. I love that guy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's very good. We're pretty excited about the lineup. I'm gonna post that link in the chat here, but I'm feeling the pressure. We got to get some butts and seats for this thing. So everybody listening, I would appreciate you guys if you didn't help me promote it and try to get some people to attend this one. But it's in Orlando, Disney Springs, Wyndham Resort thing. So supposedly a pretty cool water park there as well. So maybe Brent will be in a leaf loincloth for that one. I don't know if that'll keep
signing
you
up
from
right
coming
now.
or bring you.
I'll take 2.
No, man, that was a blast. NC, what is it called? NC.
And it was NCTS.
NCTS
Yeah, that
from
was a lot
Autologic
of fun.
or Opus. Yeah, man. Mike, you got it. You won a trip to the next NC, which never happened.
Got
But
him.
maybe we can get you to Orlando for the Accelerator.
I can't go, but
I think he's sleeping.
I would like to go back to Orlando.
Oh, come on,
Lots-
Tommy. We gotta help you get you out here, man. Because you've
I
been
can't.
threatening
No.
to visit for like years, dude.
Dude, I should have been there like 10 years ago. I lived there. I have like a lot of friends there still. And I
I'm
never
still
went
trying
back.
to I'm still trying to get Tommy to come visit me.
Yeah, I gotta do a world tour. I still gotta go visit Perkins because I gotta go see my nieces.
Dude, just have them send the modules to me, and then you can visit and do your work
Nice.
here. Yeah,
I gotta see
Well,
my Carlos.
yeah,
Will Carlos will do the dance?
Yeah, buddy.
pretty much every day.
The bedroom mambo.
Ooh.
Horizontal polka.
He's not with us. He's got Wally Meridian teaching him.
Oh, nice.
Night.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. So, again, we've got a lot on this one. So it's kind of a big deal for us, and like I said, feeling a little bit of the pressure. So really appreciate you guys. Help us get some butts and seats for that event. In the chat, I posted the link to register. If you're in Florida and you want to join Florida Auto Care Alliance, you get, I think it's a $50 discount for each attendee. So it's pretty cool. But I think I'd like to take a quick moment and talk about what we're going to have some of these, in these sessions, and kind of give you a teaser. Sean, you mind sharing what you're going to be doing with us?
Sure. Yeah, for anybody who signs up late and Thornton's class is full, I have got the class for you.
How to cut a hole in the wall so you can listen in on.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on doing. No, so I did a short presentation at Vision in March on some AI technology and how it's related to the automotive world. And so I'm going to be expanding on that a little bit more with a 3-hour class. And really, it's just looking at, obviously, I'm sure you probably heard quite a bit about AI in the last few months. It's overwhelming how much stuff is out there. But, my focus really is how can this help us as automotive technicians, increase accuracy, efficiency, what can't it do? And then the big thing is as it's going to change things in the future, like go ahead 10 years from now. And I mean, I think AI is going to be pretty big for a number of reasons outside of automotive, but within our world, how can we leverage our skill sets as all this stuff comes at us? And so that's going to be the overall goal of the class, and we'll get some case studies and stuff in there, utilizing the stuff in real world applications. So it should be fun.
I mean,
Cool.
I feel like it will be. I mean, the last 2 tech talks you presented at last year and the year before, I think it was, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a case study the year before as well.
Yeah, but you did a case study and you had like interactive, like game show type, wasn't it? Like
Yeah, it was a
some questions.
response app that I had used in the classroom, so people can, answer questions on their phone. It shows up on the screen. So, yeah, getting audience engaged is key. So I got to make sure everybody stays awake, and so yeah.
Well, you could be like Jerry Stewart and just pound on the tables and stuff.
Yeah.
But, it works. It's effective. But I mean, I was present for the 2 tech talks you gave, and I think they were very creative, and you did such a great job. And in this one, the topic itself, I mean, you presented it very well, but the topic itself, to me, I mean, it's never been done, you know. So I thought it would be cool, and I called you up and asked you if you thought you could put, you know, 3.5 hours worth of material together, and you reluctantly agreed to do so. So appreciate you
He
doing
typed in, please, you know, write a 3-hour.
Don't tell them.
How to
At
do
least,
an info
at
off
least
with
his
AI.
handout will be ready.
All I'm hearing is that it's a really easy way to build a bunch of slides that you don't have to build. Like here, you guys fill in the screen for me. Here you go.
I was gonna say, Rich, you could do AI programming class. I had it do it for me once.
Might be better than some of the ones I've seen.
Ooh,
Did I say that out loud?
shots fired.
Moving on.
All right, cool, man. I appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us. I think it's pretty fun. It's definitely a different, you know, I don't think I've never seen a class like that advertised. Certainly have never attended one, so I think it'll be a good time. Appreciate you agreeing to come out. It'll be fun to hang out.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Richard, can you tell me what we're doing at the Accelerate events?
This just
Bro,
in.
Are you pretending to not hear me, Richard?
He pretended to.
frozen.
He's
You pretended to be
petrified.
Frozen.
Looks like
He's
he's
really
got
good at this.
Oh wait, he is actually frozen.
internet problems.
That's funny. He's like,
It couldn't have been more perfect timing.
I gotta go.
He's in deep thought.
Son of
He
a
left the chat. There he goes. Oh,
Well, I'll talk really quickly. Jim Morton is doing kind of a
There he
pretty
is.
cool thing. He's doing a Saturday afternoon session, and his session is basically the concept is we've all seen, and we've kind of, Richard, you've done some tech talks on this similar, but when we're on Facebook groups and we see people kind of post some scope captures and stuff like that, we can tell that technicians are often kind of jumping past, you know, a lot of steps to try to do some sexy stuff. And Matt, you had an episode kind of talked about that as well. And Jim's presentation is basically kind of touching on that, you know, making sure that each test that you do is building upon the last. Like, you're not jumping into something for no reason. You're doing that test because you were led there for a specific reason. So managing time with diagnostic process and stuff like that, which I think will be pretty good. That's Jim Morton Saturday afternoon. John Thornton, I can't remember which session is which, but he's doing he's doing a variable valve lift class. And anybody that's attended John's classes, they're amazing. They always are, arguably one of the best. And he usually kind of covers the technology and then does some case studies to kind of, you know, show real world examples of how you can work through these diagnostic processes. It's gonna be a great time. I think he has his specific case studies. I think in this case, I know he's covering Chrysler and BMW. Maybe I can't remember what other brands, but it's obviously going to be a good time. And then I think his afternoon class is going to be a hybrid, a brand new class. He hasn't developed it yet, but I asked him if he could do hybrid diagnostic class, and we discussed it a little bit, and he got some pretty cool stuff put together for that. And then Rich, tell me what we're doing. Tell me what we're doing for the accelerator.
I don't know. What are we doing? That's another one we got to start writing soon. No, we are doing we're doing the CTI analytic test drive class, but we're trying to make it as interactive as possible. We're going to present the guys with case studies, with scan data, and have them diagnose the cars with us in the class. Try to do kind of simulate a live diag, basically, right, Bryn?
Yeah. So basically, we're going to be Alex Trebek. We're going to know the answers, and we're going to act like big shots in front of the class when they.
Oh no, we're doing another game show.
No, yeah, I mean, we're still kind of waiting to see if CTI. I think the plan is to have CTI sponsor it. If they don't, I don't know that we can teach it. A CTI class if they're not sponsoring. I don't know. I think we
better
can.
to ask forgiveness than permission, Bryn.
The cat's out of the bag now.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
either way, it's going to be a.
It's barely a CTI class, isn't it, Rich? I think we're taking. I don't even know. We might not end up using any of the material, but
this is a thinly veiled attempt to doing our own thing.
Well, if you guys, I don't know, for those of you that were participated, I think most of us on here were for the X50 virtual event that ASA put on. Richard and I went to the Research and Development Center, CTI, and we did like a diagnostic challenge where we had some groups.
That was fun.
Presented them. Yeah, we presented them with bullshit cases with bad
wrong
service
wiring
information.
diagrams.
I remember that. Yeah, it was the wrong wiring diagram. And you're like, haha. Yeah, I remember.
That's
similar.
But that's real life, isn't it?
Yeah, we were simulating real world right there.
Yeah, okay.
But we kind of talked about it. I don't think we have it totally lined out. But like an example, Matt, if you we're thinking we might use some of the interactive scan data that scans through ScanShare. So it's possible we'll use ScanShare and use some of those case studies that have scan data, and you can kind of pick and choose, turn on and off PIDs from the files that are on that website. And then so we'll pick one ahead of time or a few of them ahead of time potentially. That's if CTI doesn't sponsor it. We'll pick a few out ahead of time, and then again we'll know the answers, but we'll have probably going to break everybody, a few groups up, and then there's going to be a kind of a figurehead in each group, and we're going to kind of work through each case study, and I think it'll be a good time. So that's what Rich and I are going to be doing.
We're going to break it up
Hopefully
into
he does
teams,
most
and
of
it's
the
going to
work.
be a battle to the death.
And shoot. Oh, we're hoping that Adam and Gary can join us, but they're most likely going to do their, because they're teaming up, they have a couple classes that they do together, and they really have been pushing for this network class that they say is out of this world, I guess. So
And it is.
I did it at TST. It was good.
Yeah. So we haven't really, we're not sure if they're coming. We're pretty sure that they will. We're hoping that they will, and we haven't really picked the classes yet, but that's kind of what we're leaning toward right now. So with that, I will kind of stop promoting, shamelessly promoting this thing, and we can get down to business. Tommy, did you want to cover yours, or Chris, do you want to cover your case first?
I think Tommy should go first.
I think Pookie should go first. Hang on.
Okay.
Fuck it.
Well,
I think
Tommy,
we should mention that we have another couple of events that are coming up first.
Oh yes. Foundations is in November. I think it's the same weekend as Super Saturday. We have ASTE, right? What's the dates on that?
Right. ASTE is September 29th to October 1st. Anybody out on the West Coast, you have ATE East on September 29th and September 30th.
ATE
have-
East and the West.
Have they released classes for that?
ATE East, the classes are just released as of today.
Oh, okay.
Well, almost all of them. There may be some changes made there, but
So
also,
ATE has been, they've done the regular ATE for years, but the last, I bet maybe a couple years before the pandemic, they started doing ATE East, which is not East Coast. That's kind of, I think that confused people at one time, but it's the east side of Washington, something like that. Farther east than where they do the normal ATE, I guess.
It was extremely west, but it's east. It's extremely west.
It's like the most west you can get.
now there's one more event that nobody's really picked up on, and I guess they didn't do a lot of advertisement for it, but Gary and Adam are running a class for Diagnostic called Hybrid and EV Hands-On.
Pass me a water.
it is, what are the dates on this thing again? After hearing what they put together for this class, though, I have to say it sounds like one of the most interesting ones that I've come across so far this year. Really looking forward to hearing the feedback after it's done. But that is set for, if you go to the Diagnostic website, you'll find it under product, believe it or not. That's where they have it. That's where they have it. And it's on July 31st to August 4th. So really interesting to see what they have laid out. But I can tell you that it's an immersive experience. From the moment that you're there, there's not going to be much time in a seat because a lot of the learning you're going to do is going to be out there hands-on.
Yeah, hands-on multi-day thing, right?
Yes.
Multi-day thing, and I think Lonnie Horn and Jerry Stewart were involved with that. I think that multi-day. They did one event up, and I think it's going to be same area, right? Montana or something like that. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's right.
Helena College.
Yeah. So I don't know if Jerry's still involved, but Jerry and Lonnie Horn are both work. Lonnie's still a curriculum builder for CTI. Jerry and Lonnie were kind of partnered. They taught at schools kind of close to each other, and they also wrote curriculum for CTI. They got together and put this really comprehensive hybrid EV training together, and they did at least one up there. And I saw that Adam I think was involved with those, and it looks like Diagnostic Adam Gary are either taking over it or they're involved obviously heavily with it, so it should be a good time.
They do that in Montana, hybrid and EV class.
Yeah,
hands on. So if something bad happens, it's like Yellowstone.
Yeah. So Mario's.
I think they did it in the wintertime too.
Yep, 10 days.
It was July 29th. Yeah.
Okay. So one of my texts is in the group and reminded me that we have a class coming up August 5th and 6th at our shop, and there's currently there are more L1 technicians that are going to be there than people that have signed up for it.
Well, you have 72 Zacks, so
yeah,
it's tough to outnumber them.
Yeah. So August 5th and 6th, we have a 2-day hands-on electrical and network diagnosis class at the shop. So what's funny is we run programming classes like 3 times a year at the shop, and they sell out every time, and everybody always wants us to do another one soon, and we put it out and it sells out. And then I do this electrical class, and I have 5 people signed up.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more training than ever, though, right? I mean, at least that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember people were complaining that just in the beginning of the year was all the training. We need to spread it all out, and now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's very hard to find a date that something else isn't already going on. Like basically, it's possible. So.
Because come the end of August, I leave Oklahoma and I don't come back for quite a while.
Yeah, that's like Gary.
That sounds like a
Gary
dream.
Gary and Adam will go. They're like leaving Fear and Loathing Las Vegas.
Yeah,
they do these road trips for like months at a time.
Yeah, they do. They jump in that Volvo and go all over the place. Or the Escalade.
You know what's ironic is they drove around in this like 1980s Volvo all over the country doing these training tours.
Yeah.
Gary thought, you know what? I'm on borrowed time. I better get a nice car. So he got like a pretty much brand new like Escalade or something.
Yep.
In that very first year, it broke down.
Straighted. He gave me the story up in TST. He was like, "This is ridiculous. We should have just took the Volvo."
Cool. Well, basically, all of that is just to tell you to join us at Accelerate. Tommy did Tommy did a talk at Tech Talks. Go ahead, Tommy. Sorry.
How much is Accelerate anyway? How many days is it?
It is. We're having Friday evening. We're having like kind of networking. What do you call fancy parties?
Fancy parties.
Cocktail party.
Soirees.
Reception. I guess.
A ball? Are you having a ball?
We're having a ball. And then Saturday, all day Saturday is the training. So early bird pricing for Florida Auto Care Alliance members is 219 and non-members is 269. After August 21st, it's 249 and 291.
But it's a 1-day training class, right? Training event per se.
Yeah, 1 day of classes.
Cool. Gracias.
So are you gonna come down, Tony?
Nah, man. I go on vacation. Actually, the 14th.
Oh,
Lucky, what's this vacation that you speak of?
Yeah, what is that?
The same one you should be taking.
I don't know what that
Rich,
is.
you go on vacation every time you teach, man. You need a side trip.
I don't think
Side trip to
Alabama's
take.
my choice of a vacation.
Yeah, Leeds, Alabama is not exactly a vacation.
Birmingham.
I think I'm
Cool.
teaching every weekend of October. There's an event it's ASTE, BIMMERS, Apex, SEMA, and
Oh, I forgot about Bimmers, yeah.
yeah, it's
Is
Run the
Bimmers
same. And then
I'll
Super
see.
Saturday, right?
yes, and Super Saturday. Yep.
Yeah.
Is
I'm
Bimmer's
doing all
gonna
the
be
same
back
I'll
in-
be there with you, Rich, for all of them.
Oh,
All right,
Greenville?
cool.
yeah.
Cool.
are you going to SEMA, Rich?
Yeah, I'm teaching at
I'll
Apex.
see you there.
Awesome.
Rich
Cool.
has got a sweet BMW class for Bimmers.
Shut up.
It's being taught the same time as my sweet BMW class.
So anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway. I think everybody's aware, Matt came up with the concept of doing tech talks years ago for Vision, and I think it's personally one of the coolest sessions at Vision. Concept is to get several different presenters during a session as opposed to just one, and kind of share like a testing concept or a case study, kind of like TED Talks, I guess, but hence the name, which I think he was embarrassed about, if I'm not mistaken. But,
Yeah, I didn't come up with the name, but the idea was really not to pick. This isn't picking on Brian, but techs like him, really smart guys who may not be
Birdie.
presenting but have an idea or maybe some interest in presenting, and being able to put them in a position where they can present for whatever it is, 15, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, but he don't have to feel like he has to carry an entire class, right? Because that's usually the way you get into it, is do a 3-hour class. That's a lot to ask, to just
Or do an 8-hour class with no practice.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you
the
get
class that
into
you
it,
just
and that's
wrote for the first time ever. Yeah.
it's a major trial by fire, because maybe you show up with not enough material, or you're hoping for more attendee interaction and they don't, so you're blast through your slides and there you sit like, oh man, I got another hour and a half, what do I do? Take some of that pressure off. You're surrounded by friends. Yeah, we're probably busting your balls, but still we're really there to help too. And that was the whole general idea.
Well, I loved it.
I loved it too. Good way to get your feet wet.
I was shitting bricks.
And that very first one, we had that unknown new presenter, Rich Falco.
Yeah.
Up and coming trainer.
Very green. Very green.
Well, he
And
had
it
a
was
lot of
my-
experience,
He did 2 years in a row, didn't he?
that was my first time teaching at Vision, wasn't it?
No, you taught that. No, that was among your first time, wasn't it? You taught a class and then that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't know he was a trainer. I thought he was a bus driver.
Well, he is.
I was that too.
That's what I knew.
Yeah, I taught that Vision. I was told my presentation sucked halfway through my class, and I had too many words on my slides. And now I will never ever put a word on a slide ever again because of that. Thank you.
Well, now that we're putting this Accelerate event together too, I thought it was a brilliant idea because we can do the same thing. Matt, come to Orlando, we'll do a Tech Talks. That way we can get a session filled without having to pay anyone.
Yes.
Genius.
Liz is teaching for the first time at Super Saturday this year.
Awesome.
Sweet, what's she teaching?
Wow.
ADOS.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Awesome, man.
That's awesome. Why
doing
isn't
it
she
together.
here?
Goddamn Perkins are fucking overachievers. This year, Tommy did his very first. Wasn't that your very first presentation, Tommy?
That is correct.
Yeah. And
Killed it.
it was
And I-
great.
And I
was
missed
good.
it.
He was definitely nervous, and
I was nervous as
he
shit.
pulled it together,
I think I
man,
dropped
and,
an F bomb
did-
somewhere in there too.
Hey.
I don't believe that for a second.
You would have known if you were there too, bruh.
Ho ho ho.
Oh, speaking of which, how's your wife doing, man?
Why do you gotta ask, man?
Tell her I said,
Much-
hey.
That explains the photo she's got of you wearing Leaf. Anyways, no, I would say much better. Not 100%, but definitely better. Not on
Awesome.
oxygen at all.
You had like pneumonia and COVID or something, right? Like double.
Well, she got
Double
jerked
whammy?
around so really bad, right? So she had been fighting not being able to catch her breath for a while. You know, just any activity, it's like she was on top of a mountain, just couldn't catch her breath. And then one morning
What is
she
the elevation there?
like 500 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, above sea level. And she one morning she's getting ready for work, and no exaggeration, really no exaggeration, her lips are this blue.
Wow,
it's not
that's crazy.
no drama, that is the straight up truth. And it's kind of like, we got to get you in. And her O2 level was in the 70s.
Wow.
That's scary.
And yeah, just a bunch of really just getting kind of jerked around. They don't dive in and try to really figure out what's going on. It's like, well, what fits? It's like watching a stupid medical show like House. Like, well, lupus fits. And long story short, first they diagnose her, if you will, pneumonia. Then it's COVID pneumonia, and then long COVID. And yeah, it's been a combination, I think, of like they switched her meds it's probably 6 times for inhalers. The last one seems better than anything, and I would say she's at least for the most part functional. If we go for a good walk and up some hills, we might kick her ass, but for the most part, so much better than before. So much better.
So the inhalers are like steroids, aren't they?
They had her on steroids. This one isn't. This is an actual
I was just wondering
medication.
if she was yelling at you or something.
No, she grew a beard like Keith's, and then so that was awkward.
Or like in Mike Robinson's case, your dog's name is Matt Gonzalo as well. She yells at your dog.
Shaved its butt and taught it to walk backwards.
Every time I moderate for Brandon Steckler, he talks about the attendees. If your wife's yelling at you, mute you. Oh no, never mind. We want to hear it. And I think of Mike Robinson every single.
Mike Robinson. No, that's the dog. Yeah, okay.
Was the dog Scooby Doo?
No, he was getting yelled at. No, the dog was getting yelled at.
Well,
I took that the wrong way.
The reason we bring up Matt's Danielle because Matt is obviously the MC for the Tech Talks, and he was
former.
I think he was. It looked like she was starting to get better. You thought you were gonna be able to make it, and then she kind of took a turn for the worse.
Yeah, she got out of the hospital and then looked like she was going right back in. It was basically, am I going to regret not going to Vision, or am I going to regret being down there and having to bail?
Yeah.
So, kind of called it. Luckily, Bryn was, not just Bryn, like everybody kind of rallied around it. Tommy, Pedro, Sean, and so many people are there ready to help. Keith was ready to help if needed. Bryn took over the MC duty, knocked it out of the ballpark. I don't have a job doing Tech Talks anymore because of it.
Yeah.
Not sure at all.
But I'm not bitter.
No, you're right. I forgot about that. Pedro covered for he was there with me on Schotten and Manas. For the class that you're supposed to do with Schotten. He was there with me, and then he also stepped in for the key class.
Yeah, I was there too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Tommy was there.
Tommy and Pedro both helped with that one.
Yeah, so the attendees really came out smelling like a rose with that deal. It was a major upgrade.
Visually, for sure.
Visually, the knowledge level.
Brent is a looker, isn't he? Will you look at that guy? I mean, will you
Yeah, look at it. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
look at that slide background. It's sexy.
Oh man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. It looks a lot better. All right, so we have here 2016 Chevy Suburban. This was a very interesting. It wasn't one of my first ones, but it was actually my. It fell into my lap, being that I've seen this before and that I wanted to share this at Tech Talks because I thought it was pretty interesting. Crap. How do you go forward?
Move the mouse.
Little tiny
Use
invisible.
the arrows or the little.
There you go.
Yeah.
Damn it! No. Go back. No.
Use the up and down buttons on your keyboard.
Yeah.
Up will go back. There you go.
Gracias. Damn it. So this is a production representation of the piece of shit I was working on. It was actually the same color too. All right, so the customer. This is a body shop that does mechanical repair, and it originally came in for replacement. They replaced the transmission. They called me to go program it. They bought a reman from AutoZone or one of these parts places. Afterwards, they shipped the car because they said it ran fine, but then the customer brought it back with a check engine light, and he said that it was a no communication code. And I asked him, like, well, is the car running fine or whatever? And he's like, yeah, it runs fine, and that's why we shipped it. We didn't think it needed programming, but you know, it definitely does say that it's. He confirmed that the code was indeed a communication code. And so my GDS2 printout, and lo and behold, this is what I like about GDS2, is you can actually get an entire picture fairly quickly of what's going on in the entire network, not just not just between the ECM to TCM, but the entire high speed and low speed network in one shot. So I'm gonna use my mouse here for a second if I can. So right here, I don't know if you guys can zoom in or you can see at this moment, but I took a peek into the transmission because, again, this is previous experience. But if you look at my transmission, this is my identifiers inside the TCM.
Yeah.
It's 7783, and if you look at the actual VIN in GDS2, it's 5508. So obviously we have a mismatched VIN. So I did with GDS2. I actually also pulled an entire DTC and ID information report, and I got a better picture as well of my calibration numbers and my mismatched VINs. So here you go, our transmission VIN and our vehicle VIN, our ECM VIN. So obviously we have a problem now.
That's actually a pretty good tip.
Yes. So I ended up looking at I ran the VIN that's inside the transmission, and it's the same family of Tecum, but it's actually a newer calibration data now. So sorry, I kind of went a little bit too forward because I kind of know this by heart, so bear with me, guys. I'm bad at presenting. The Tecum, it stands for Transmission Electronic Hydraulic Control Module, and it's internal to the transmission. The Tecum is a combination of the TCM trans control module and various shift solenoids. There's a little picture for those who haven't seen it. Standard 6080 transmission, standard Tecum. Only difference between them is the generations. I think they were on the second or third generation before they moved on to the 10-speed. So why do I have communication codes when obviously I don't have a communication fault, right? Like, I can talk to the modules on the network, but something's funny. GM Global A architecture consists of a unique vehicle identifier unique to specific modules on the vehicle. The Tecum does not have this vehicle identifier, which lets the vehicle start, but the issue lies in the calibration mismatch. There have been situations where even with the VIN mismatch issue, the Tecum will not throw codes or have any shift concerns. Our complaint today was only for the Zelt. The vehicle does not have any shifting concerns. All right. So the
So
best
what you're
way
saying, so what you're saying here is that sometimes you can put a Tecum in that's mismatched and it can drive fine, but sometimes you can't.
Correct. So now in our specific case here, the issue we have is it's a language issue. And when you look at DTC criterias and GM specifically, when you can't install a used module, and this reman, it's technically a used module. There's another VIN in it, even though it was reman for whatever reasons. So GM doesn't have a DTC criteria that says, hey, we have a different calibration, and so let's set a calibration mismatch code. No, it just says no communication because they're not speaking the same languages because the calibrations are different.
Mm-hmm.
So our options. Well, we can reflash it with SPS2. Well, on this particular application, it did not work. When certain modules, especially the first generation, I've been able to reflash with SPS2 and they haven't really give me an issue, but this generation of hardware does not. Cloning is a viable option in this case, and there are several tools with solutions for the situation, but our biggest issue is by the time these shops know this, well, the transmission is probably at the rebuilder already and it's gone. So you don't have the original transmission with you. One of the biggest things I've run into with certain reman Tecums is the fact that they don't really give a flying fuck about the generations. So you're stuck with a lot of issues in the programming side. And this I left out of the tech talks for reasons that you'll see soon enough. But my approach for this actual situation, when I can't clone the original transmission, is actually to virginize it. Well, you can find files or you can harvest them yourself with certain tools. The issue is gonna be the generations of hardware. You cannot mismatch the files. If you put in a virgin file into the wrong generation of hardware, it will brick. It will actually, like with whatever tools you're using, they will actually take the file. But once you actually run the SPS program, it'll go to the end and then it'll just stop communicating. It won't finish I think there's an issue with a bootloader. I don't know the exact issue because once it's done, it's really hard to bring them back to life.
The operating systems are different sizes, so the sectors are mismatched. You basically end up with a whole bunch of blank spots in one part or not enough of the data in another if the module doesn't have enough memory for the OS.
So basically, she's fucked. So I told the shop to go get a brand new one in this case, and let's just not waste too much time. And we were able to program it, and we were able to program it with its original VIN. This is a 2016 Suburban. After programming, this is quick checks. I mean, no DTCs, of course, we didn't have one at the beginning, but now we have our matching calibration information, ECM and TCM, as you can see, 5508, 5508. These are base identifier modules for GM. And here's another shot of I forgot to highlight the VIN number, but as you can see here a little closer, our VIN number matches. Now, one thing that ever since I did this, one thing I've discovered is one of the reasons why there's so many different issues with calibrations is because, for example, like different, even like the extended the Suburban, the Tahoe, the Silverado, obviously depending on their packages, they will have different shifting points for the Tecum. That's why the reason they have so many calibration files. So they work well enough to actually ship a vehicle, but they don't. There's obviously conflicting issues with the operating system. So here are some other faults you guys can look for. I've seen issues as ATF temperature not reporting to the cluster. Some I've gone into absolute limp mode. They will not even shift out of gear. Like you can move them, but they physically won't go into gear, reverse, or drive. You'll have the no communication codes. And I had this happen to me once where somebody at one point had installed a used trans and shipped it that way. And I went to the shop to replace a PCM, and more than likely it was for the no communication code. And when I went to do a sequential programming event, the Tecum went offline. The Tecum went offline and it didn't come back. So this is also kind of one of those, you know, if you're in the shittier areas like I am, where you have to deal with this type of crap, it's a good thing to take a look at the VIN numbers. Just make sure, just a quick check. It takes literally a few minutes.
Now in GDS, the VIN numbers, how do you when you want to report, it's all there?
Yeah, so if you go into vehicle diagnostics, I think it's called, Keith probably knows by heart, but I think it's called vehicle DTC and ID information.
Mhm.
And then it just gives you a complete scan. It gives you all the the identification numbers and the calibration numbers and ETCs in each module on the network.
And then
As long as the website's actually up that day.
Hey man,
yeah, and if you get all the environmental data for the DTCs as well, all
Yes.
out in one printout. Super
So-
nice.
so that's one of the reasons why I truly enjoy using GDS2 for this. You can use any tool, but the efficiency of it is what I like the best.
That's awesome.
And that was it, man. Nothing special.
Looks special to
It's
me.
Oh man.
So you got to click stop,
Yeah.
stop sharing.
I'm going.
Anybody monitoring the chat? Any questions coming through? Anything?
So
Yep,
what's
any
funny
questions?
is they like it. Alex has a question about an F250, which is kind of funny. That's pretty much exactly what mine's on. It's the exact problem.
An F2 shitty?
Really?
Well, I swear to God.
Let's do it. maybe we'll
Hey,
answer
you
his
kind of
question.
breezed over something real quick though, Tommy. You talked about the sequential, and that was I mean, I know you covered it, but there are times where you're doing sequential, which means like if you do one module, it's going to force you to do, you know, a pair of modules or whatever it's going to do.
Correct. So, I don't know the specifics, but GM had this massive. There was a little backtracking. For a little bit, I would go to my trans shops, and they'll have a couple of 6080s waiting to get built, and I would just flash the Tecums and call it a day. Well, they ended up forcing sequential programming to update the ECM and the TCM for the matching calibrations, because I guess a lot of them were being shipped with different calibrations in the ECM. So now they basically force you to program both or check the ECM calibration as well at the same time, and that's where I ran into that issue.
So it went through the ECM, but then when it's finishing up the TCM, it bricked it.
Yep.
Because of the VIN mismatch in the
I think it had a different generation of hardware in it.
Oh, okay.
So now you broke it.
Yeah, that one wasn't too bad. Wherever it stopped, it was right at a point where I was able to just use one of my tools from undisclosed sources.
From China and or
Back.
Russia.
I will not confirm or deny this, sir.
That's
Cool.
awesome.
Thanks, man.
Is it my turn?
Yes, sir. The best for last.
Tommy, there's a question. If the ECM is up to date, won't it just skip it?
That would be correct. The problem
Okay.
is it won't let you. It needs to check it so it can program the TCM.
So let's do this. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
We're seeing the presenter mode.
I see nudes.
There
All
we
right.
go.
Finest.
Rich said that's like an angry dad. We're seeing presenter mode.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
So-
so we can see your email.
Yeah, it's funny. So, Alex had a question about a 2015
Shit.
F250.
Real quick, man.
yeah.
Damn it. Sorry. Don actually asked a good question that I was gonna cover and I fucking forgot. He asked, how do you identify the different generations? The best thing that I do is basically go on a repair link with the two VIN numbers and then search the part numbers. That's been pretty foolproof for me. You go to repairlink.com, put the VIN number in.
Fairly shop.
Repairlink shop, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Repairlink shop, and then compare the part numbers. They will be different, 100%. So that's how I've looked that up. So thank you for asking that question, Don. I appreciate it. I totally forgot to add that.
Your link shop is so awesome.
Yep.
I'm so
Sorry,
glad
Chris.
we have that resource.
That's okay. No, we've been building this up for nothing. It's really like 3 minutes. So, mine is on. It's a 2015 F350 Super Duty. So it's almost the same exact problem. Same engine in the car. So this car, I was called out to a shop of mine. It was a tow shop, I guess. It was a AAA tow shop. They were complaining that this car, it would run for about an hour and then just die, and they couldn't communicate to anything. They told me they're about to put a fuse box into it, and then they saw how much the front fuse box was, and they wanted me to come look at it. So first thing I did is I came to look at the car, and well, I kind of agreed with what they said. It would not die for me. I sat there for an hour. I let them pay me for the hour, and it just ran. So I said, do me a favor, take the wheel well out. Let me get to the bottom of it. It was all salty. But let's get into it. So it's a 2015 F350 Super Duty. It's an intermittent crank, no start. So this is like what Tommy did. I found a picture on the internet. This is kind of what it looked like. But to be fair, really looked more like this. All right, it's a salt truck.
A lot of junk in the trunk.
Yeah. All right, but to be fair, it actually looked more like this. It was a rotted. All right, it was a rotted salt truck. All right.
It's a Chevy too.
No. So what's funny? What's funny is
identifies as a Chevy.
It identifies as a Chevy. So
that's what all the trucks look like in Minnesota.
Yeah. So I tried to find pictures of it because I didn't realize this was going to be a case study until I was like, oh, this is fun. So I went to the shop. I was like, I saw the truck. They told me what it was. I was like, well, you could be barking up the right tree if you have no communication to the ECM. The power's all run through there. It's a salt truck. I opened the hood. The fuse box is open and exposed to the elements. I'm like, sure, but they didn't want to throw a part in it. So I go there. Car doesn't die. I had them pull the wheel well out for me so I can wiggle wires, try to get the thing to die. It won't die. So they bring the car over to me, to my shop over there, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure it out. So what I wanted to do first is take a code scan of the vehicle, and I'm seeing what they're basically saying. Intermittent, no communication with the PCM. That's really all I care about. I don't care about the system camera. I don't care about any of that crap. It's a work truck. But no communication with the PCM. So that's awesome. That's where I wanted to start. So again, it's an intermittent problem, but I want to get all my ducks in a row first, right? Makes sense? So I look up a diagram, all right? And as you can see, in the battery junction box, covered in all the corrosion and all the nastiness, all right, is your PCM power relay, and you have fuse F72. I'm assuming that looking at the state of the box, there was no cover on the fuse box, and it's a salt truck. So I was like, okay, I'm expecting to probably find some kind of voltage drop, and if I see it, I'm probably going to see it on the PCM power relay, because that makes total sense. So what I wanted to do is find a way to get it to test. It takes forever for the thing to die, so I got to set everything up the way I can do it. And this goes right against what Keith likes to talk about, not touching the car, but I had no choice. I had to do a thing, right? So
this is justified. I'll give you a pass. So it wasn't broken at the time, so you had to do something.
I had to do something. So what I wanted to do was basically, I love these kits, these little relay testers. You guys all have these, right? And the idea was just I'll pop the PCM main relay out, pop it in, and then just hook a meter up to it. When it dies, just figure out what it is. Small problem. That's what.
Wait a minute. Can you go back just a minute, Chris?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Why can't they make those male spade terminals
normal?
Straight, normal.
Yeah, I agree. They are
labeled.
They are labeled.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
They're labeled very poorly.
I guess mine are just so old or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're labeled 1, 2, 3, and then in the bottom you don't even see anything.
But it's like a tapered terminal. It's like what are we doing?
It's stupid, man.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you gotta do continuity testing pin to pin to find out what goes where, and then use the tool.
I've been staying awake at night, wanting an opportunity to bitch about those terminals.
Well, congratulations. So,
Thank you.
all I wanted to do was I wanted to test this relay when it failed. All right, so I was like, okay. So I grabbed the two relay tester kits I got. Okay, let's do this. I pulled the relay out. Looks like that. Fuck. I don't have the relay tester for the spade that big. I don't know if they make them, but I don't have it. So I was like, shit. I still want to test the relay. So I was like, let me rig this thing. Let me go full
Crack it
ghetto.
open.
No.
Yes, sir.
Birthday cake.
You went full ghetto.
I went full ghetto.
Which one do you like? All of them.
Oh, so I just I took some strands of wire, wrapped it around, made sure they didn't touch, and marked it. So this way I could put the relay back in place and just touch the pins that need to be touched and make sure not to short anything out.
Can we cue the MacGyver theme song?
I gotta tell you, I took this picture because I was kind of proud of myself when I did this. I didn't know this was gonna do this. I was like, this is freaking cool.
Dude, I've seen some ghetto ass shit in my days, man, but god damn, this one beat the meat, literally.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Unfortunately, like I said, I didn't have a tester. I needed to test it, and I didn't have time to waste while the car died because again, this car would die. You give it 5 minutes to start right back up again. So I had like 0 time. So I had to set everything up to test it when it died. So I set my relay up according to my diagram, placed it back in the car, and marked the relay tabs where they are, according to the diagram.
Short circuit.
I know Brian's like fucking going nuts right now just looking at that. He's probably shaking.
I would use.
You don't want to make Brian angry.
Let's be sure here, though. Chris, did the car go on fire?
Not at all.
Okay, just throwing that out there.
Rookies.
But it's ghetto as fuck. I admit it, but it worked.
I love
right?
A for effort.
So, yeah. So this way I can at least test it. So that I have all my testing points ready to go, and all I got to do is let it run, right? Just let it run. So. Let it run. I'm sitting in the shop doing other things. All of a sudden I hear it go, go, boom, and then it dies. So I run over and I start testing things, right? So what I really wanted to check was pins 2 and 3 at the PCM power relay. But that'll let me know a lot what's going on. And what I found is pins 2 and 3 are completely dead. Sweet, right? So where's the next spot you'd want to go?
Fuse block.
Y'all can chime in. Well, yeah. So what I really want to look is okay, cool. Pins 2 and 3, if you look, are all over here, and they're powered by fuse 72. Makes sense, right? Let's go check the fuse. So I do that. All right, because I was using my meter because I was expecting voltage drop, so I didn't have my test light right there. I had a meter. I was expecting voltage drop because of the way it was acting and what I saw, because you guys can see the fuse box over here. It's kind of gross, right? So like I said, I was expecting fuse drop, so I used my meter. Or, what some people would use is a power probe, because we all use power probes to check fuses.
Got 2 hazard fraud fuses in it.
Yeah. It's a work truck, man. So you got 12.2 volts on one side of the fuse, got battery voltage on the other side of the fuse, right?
Ooh.
So that's good, right? So I was like, okay, cool. Well, this is where people get themselves into trouble, and I used to deal with this all the time, because I kept the pictures of the meter in here for a reason, because a lot of people use power probes because they call them test lights, and it really bothers me. Here's the main issue with the car. All right, and this is my main issue, and I put this in a lot of my classes. All right, everybody repeat after me. This is not a test light.
The test LED.
All right,
You were gonna fight, bro.
yeah.
Well, if it's a power, you just shoot ground at it, and if the circuit breaker pops, you're good.
Yeah.
Tommy taught me
Problem
that.
is,
but that's not a test light. So
Pretty good. Pretty good likeness there.
what really
you
bothers
could have
me?
just powered the fuse and figured that out too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not if I'm trying to test it. So anyway, but here's the problem, right? Because I went in expecting voltage drop inside the fuse box. Is what I expected. All right. So take it that if you're coming across here with a power probe, all right, which is basically why I'm using my meter here. It'll light up red, all right, and you'll think it's right. What you really need to use a test light. All right. The reason I like test lights because they put a load on a circuit. Small load, but it's a load.
LED test light.
Yeah, full on LED test light. Please make sure to use those fucking things too. All right. So here I am in a nice, really clear picture. You can see testing one side of the fuse is great. One side of the other side of the fuse, which you can totally see me testing the other side of the fuse, is completely fucking dead. I did nothing but hook a test light up to this car.
Must
Right?
have a bad bulb because your voltmeter said it had 11.6 volts.
Exactly. I had battery voltage at that. What's my problem? Exactly. So here's my problem. That's the fuse from inside there. It was rotted
Nice.
from all the salt. All right.
It's funny you say that. I was burned by one of those that came from an auction, and
I was about to say
it
the
wasn't
same thing, boy.
it wasn't corroded, but it was cut with side
It's
cutters.
that, it's that auction special, baby.
So if you test
Mhm.
you test
I've
the
only
top of the
seen that on
fuse,
pranks.
you
That
test.
does not look like an intermittent problem, though, does it?
Oh no, this is no. It doesn't look like you would think it'd be totally broken, but that fuse was barely touching.
It's broke now that you pulled it out.
Yeah, and there's
So
the
you
rest of the
broke it.
fuse. There's the rest of the fuse sitting in the fuse box right there.
Sean and I are thinking that's how all the fuses in Minnesota look.
Yeah.
You
Dude,
guys
Matt, you're
weld
getting
them back
dark.
together?
Matt, you're getting darker and darker as it goes, man. It started to.
That's how I can kind of slip out of here unnoticed.
You're sitting in the dark.
Is there electricity in Minnesota?
It's working.
You light a candle?
If I paid my bill, maybe.
Matt is a character we haven't unlocked yet.
Yeah. So all I did, all I was able to do was I was able to get a nice pair of needle nose, pull it out, clean the fuse off, put a new fuse in, clear it, no codes, car's fine. I told him you're probably going to want to still put a fuse box in it, but the car runs. But the moral of the story here is when I got, because I always tell people, like, you know, don't test fuses with power probes because you're wrong, because half-blown fuses. But I never ever get that. I always throw the half-blown fuse away and I never save it. I want, as soon as I got this fuse, I was like, you know what, I'm saving this, writing all this down. But the moral of the story is test the fucking fuses with a test light. If you're doing it wrong, if you're doing it with a power probe, you're wrong. Fucking
You
fight
can't make me.
Fucking fight me.
I diagnosed an
Well,
Audi with a power probe. Yatch.
Well,
If you-
that's the
if you-
thing.
if
You use
you-
a test light,
Go
you
ahead.
can have a blown test light and power on both sides because it's a multiple feed circuit or whatnot.
Or-
so I actually showed that as well. You got to see voltage. I wouldn't trust the test light anyway.
And
I
if
mean,
it-
not to like completely shit on your.
And
suggestion,
in your situation, Chris, if that broken leg was on the load side of the circuit of the fuse,
Test lighted good both times.
yeah, because the power still would have been there on the top of the fuse.
Yeah. Luckily, it was the feed side that was broke. So.
Yes.
So you would have been able to see that with a power probe, Jack. So hold that.
Tommy, you got some skin in this game.
Don't talk about my power probes.
Don't talk about my pee-pee like that. Who was it? Mike Reynolds, who said he went out to his body shops and give out power
Yeah,
probes?
he gives
And
out power probes. Yeah.
business went up like 30%.
Speaking of Mike Reynolds, you remember last time
Take
we were
away the
on, he
owner's
did
manual.
When
Did a
he
case.
quit,
It was brilliant.
it was amazing.
We're like, wow, this got some technical difficulties. That motherfucker totally took off.
He's in the chat. I saw him all go.
Oh, Mike!
So-
I just saw Mike. Yeah.
So I'm doing my best to emulate Keith, and I got myself a Zach working for me, and
Heck yeah.
and Zach doesn't have a whole lot of experience, so we get to a shop with an old Lincoln with an intermittent no start problem, and I say, Zach, grab the test light, just check all the fuses while I'm hooking up the scan tool. I'm just getting him in the habit of checking fuses with the test light, and shop owner sees what he's doing, walks over, and goes, "You guys don't think we don't know how to check fuses?" And just
Nope.
as he says it, Zach turns to me and he goes, "They're all good, but two of them are really dim." And I said, "What do you mean dim?" And he shows me with the test light, and all right, get the multimeter, and the each fuse had 4 volts on it or 5 volts on it, and we look at a wiring I don't even have the scan tool hooked up yet. I look at a wiring diagram on my phone, and I go, "Oh, those are the fuses for the PCM relay." And pull the PCM relay, swap it with the horn relay, the car starts right up. The shop owner looked like he wanted to die. So I turned around, I go, "What'd you guys check these fuses with?" And it was a Harbor Freight LED. Yeah, it's going to turn red. It had 5 volts. That's enough to turn that test light red. So
I like the test lights that you connect to the battery and then use. It's got a little voltmeter on it.
my favorite is when you see guys hook that test light up to a jumper pack that's not connected to
Yeah,
the car.
yes.
And then go testing the car.
Everything's broken.
I'll raise you the
Down
guys
the
who tell
car.
me
He was
I
like,
already
"What?"
checked the fuses and forget to tell me that the key was off.
The battery's dead.
If we could let Zach 2 talk right now, it'd be hilarious. He had like, we have this one shop and they're terrible. It is comical every time. He showed up for
I
park lights
invited him
stuck
to
on a
watch
Subaru.
tonight, by the way.
Yeah, park lights stuck on a Subaru, an 06 Tribeca. He had a call for that. He gets at least twice a week. We put in 3 aftermarket alternators. Can you come check it out? He shows up to one of them, and they immediately go, "We already put a factory alternator in it. That's not it this time. Don't tell us that's it." And it happened to be the one Chrysler that needed like a TIPM or a fuse box. It was a fuse box. He'll tell me in the chat. And the guy puts the fuse box in, calls back and goes, "Your guy was wrong. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't need that." Zach gets there.
They didn't
clear the
fuse?
code. No, they didn't clear the code.
Oh.
He
Yeah, I've had
clears the
those.
code, and he's like, "You owe me $220 and it charges now." He went to a Kia that they wanted us to program the keys after they put a lock cylinder in it. It had no theft, but it was out of gas. The battery wasn't hooked up. They had bad battery cable connections, so it wouldn't crank. He fixed the cable connections, and it was crank no start, and then hit him for a second diag charge, and it was out of gas.
Dude, I went to a body shop. They had a car. For some reason, it was a newer Honda CRV. It was in there for body work, and it just for the sending unit for the fuel pump died while I was at the body shop, just for reasons. So I diagnosed it as a sending unit. So they put a Honda fuel pump in there, and it was good to go. They called me 2 days later saying I must have misdiagnosed something. Come back. So I sent my guy, and the guy's like, "I got power and ground to the fuel pump. I can hear it working. Sounds like you need a fuel pump. Something's up in there." So he calls me back on a Saturday, and it's pouring rain. He's pissed off at me because he says my guy misdiagnosed it. I'm like, okay, not a problem. So the fuel pump's exposed. I bring the fuel pump locking tool wrench thingy with me. I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out. I go to the car, pouring six. He puts it in a fucking puddle. So I'm standing in a puddle in the rain with the side door open, taking this fuel pump out, and because I can hear it running, I hear it buzzing. I pull the line off, nothing's coming out. I'm like, okay, something's disconnected in there. Something's got to be wrong. I open it up, and I shit you not, it is the driest motherfucking fuel tank I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen one this dry. Like, you could eat off of it. It's that fucking dry. I called him over. I'm like, hey, look down there. He goes, oh, maybe it's out of gas. You fucking think? I charged him.
Zach said in the chat, he said the same shop told him he was wrong on a fuse box on 21 Pacifica because it wouldn't start. He got there and it was because it had a dead battery.
It's incredible, man.
I mean, I looked at the reports that shops paid us like $6,000 in diag just in the last couple months, and it's all stupid stuff. Everything was stupid like that. Nothing was a good one.
I was at a shop last week when it was the middle of the hottest time.
It is. It's for sale.
Shocker.
I got this body shop I go to. They give their thing to get customers in is they give you a freebie or something. So the customer said that ever since they did body work on this car, the transmission, there's lights for warnings for the transmission on the dash. Those weren't there before. So like, I don't know what it is. They're like, guy, we hit it. It was hitting the back corner. It was just a freaking bumper cover. Nothing was wrong. I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. Transmission doesn't communicate. So I'm looking up the diagrams, looking up the fuses, and it's missing 3 fuses and 2 blown major fuses. So I called him over, like, your transmission's fixed. You owe me for fixing it, but like, this is not your fault. Like, people are fucking stupid, man.
Yeah, we just had a F650 gasser come in for an ABS fault and the fuse is missing. I'm pretty sure if we talk to the driver, he'll be like, yeah, my phone stopped charging, so I took one of those stupid fuses we didn't need out.
I actually managed to have a car that had a fuse half of its rating, half of the, suggested rating, and it kept blowing. That was it. They put the wrong fuse in.
No one read the fuse box. Oh.
It's usually the other way around.
Yeah. Usually there's a penny in there.
Give me the 40.
That's funny. There's got to be a short. Hold on a second.
There's gotta be a short.
It must,
Step
must
one,
be.
verify the concern.
It
Yep.
needs a computer. Yeah, it's blowing. What's
I
this
had
2.5 amp fuse?
I had a fucking an aftermarket fuel pump be wired backwards. It was blowing fucking fuel instead of fucking pushing it. That one sucked.
Yep.
I think Zach has one that's like that at the auction across the street from our shop. They called him out and they were like, we put a fuel pump in it and a relay and it doesn't run, it has no fuel pressure. And he gets there and it's got an open to the pump, but it also has level sensor stuff. And it's an old enough Chevy they had to replace the pigtail. He's fairly positive they wired it wrong.
Oh, yep.
I had a Cadillac, like an old 90s Cadillac that was TBI, like the injectors up on the throttle, and this thing was like puffing black smoke, running terrible, but super, super rich. And I was looking at the injector, and it looked like a fire hose when this thing was running, because you can see the injector in the throttle. And I was gonna tell them to put injectors in it, but I checked the fuel pressure, and this TBI, which is supposed to run at like 12, 13 psi, was running at almost 70.
Yeah.
What the hell? And I was like, did you guys put a fuel pump in it? And they did, and that's the sending you, and you can like take apart. So they put a Vortec like out of a Chevy truck of a few years newer in this
TBI
thing.
one.
Nice.
More is better.
The Saturn like SC1, SC2s, the fuel pressure regulator is in the filter. And like tons of the cheap filters, you'll get them in like 100 psi.
Oh, the Volkswagens are like that too. The wrong filter.
Yeah. I had a SC1, SC2 that was just like plowing black smoke, is rolling coals. Why?
I had a doozy this week, but I'm gonna save it for our next little fucking session.
Oh, that's that one, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a real good one, man. That's the one I diagnosed with my pee-pee, bro.
Power probe.
You're gonna eat my shorts. You sure about that? You see, my pee-pee's bigger than yours.
Jesus Christ.
He must have a hook.
I got a hook.
I
Okay, good.
I love my hook.
I can't.
It's a cool concept that a lot of people. I got a lot of really good
Florida
positive,
Martino.
Response from it after I taught that section. So everyone said it was a pretty nice, pretty neat concept.
Whip it out. That's right.
Whip it
Not
out.
your pee-pee.
Excuse me. What up?
All right. Can you see it? It's just
Yeah,
a little,
see it.
Yep.
all right. This is like part of the way through a class. It's drawn, very well with high quality graphics. It's the
Your black line doesn't line up.
Volto Tester 6000.
I'm pretty impressed with your curvy lines, though.
Yeah. So, what should we read here?
Where?
On our
Where?
multimeter. We have a multimeter. reading
Where?
there.
Where?
Where's the screen? I don't see no
It's
screen.
connected.
You can't see it?
I see it.
I
Oh,
see.
oh,
Yeah,
the
The
blue.
blue box.
Oh,
Oh,
blue
It's a
box.
box. It
box.
doesn't say multimeter. It looks like
says
another battery.
VDC. What volts DC should it have?
What is that, a beach?
The battery voltage.
What type of battery is it?
Yeah, that's what it's. This is not a trick question.
Is it a hybrid battery?
Exercise.
You
This
sure,
is to
man?
get everyone
You've
in
been
the
on the-
mindset of how to test stuff this way. And
You've
then
been on the
what we'll
ASC
do-
board too
I'm-
long, man.
I'm gonna say
no. This is
nominal
good.
nominal voltage. I'll say.
Nominal voltage. Right. There's no trick question here. It's just to get you in a mindset of how you look at a circuit. And then I've got a really fun, super advanced way to apply this that maybe you haven't thought of. Maybe you have. I don't know. I ran into it kind of by accident. So what should we have here? Theoretically, we should have 0, right? There should be no potential difference of voltage when it's loaded between that side of that circuit, right? Those should be exactly the same.
Loaded?
Close to 0.
Close to
Close,
zero.
close to 0.
Theoretically, close to 0. It's the idea of I want everyone to think about what we're looking at, and I'm going to take it from a diagram to a real car, and we're going to apply another concept to this. So, what about here?
Same thing.
Zilch.
Same thing, right? So, and I promise it's getting to a point. Promise. Right? So what about here? What would we expect to see here?
12
12
volts.
volts.
12.6.
Right. For those that are not catching that point, but yeah, 12.6 nominal voltage unloaded, right? And I know this is a super boring. This is duh. Everyone's seen this, but to understand that we're just reading the potential difference of voltage, and now we're going to apply this. I want you to imagine that this is a real car now, because when it looks like this on a diagram, it's sure, okay, that's easy, but let's go into a slight little case study. So we got a 2019 Nissan Altima. Do a full system scan. ABS is the only thing not communicating. That's the only. Everything's got DTC saying, "Hey, ABS doesn't talk." We got to check powers, grounds, communication, right? Integrity to the network. That's the problem. Is I pointed out there with our little modal logic diagram that ABS module is going to be probably about 45 minutes to get to the connector. It's going to be a total pain in the butt. And we can do a couple checks of this. We can check two things of this circuit quickly without doing that. So this is the diagram. It's a simplified version of the diagram. It's actually over 2 pages and got 2 connectors in it. So just, again, this is a thought process situation. This circuit goes from an ignition switch and accessory on, has 12 volts supplied through fuse 10 or fuse 32, 10 and fuse, to the actual ABS control module, into the microprocessor, the MCU on the board, and the other side of the MCU board is powered by the ground that goes to the chassis, pin 36. I eliminated everything else from the diagram. This is the power and ground that boots up the MCU on the circuit board of the ABS to allow it to communicate. So what I would prefer my preference of doing is removing the fuse 32, and testing for voltage across it. Okay, so we see 12.15. What do we know now?
Yeah, continuity all the way to ground. Yeah.
That the power all the way through the model. Again, I'm going to simplify diagram. We're going to look at it, and then I'm going to explain on the board level what we're looking at. So I ran into this when I was testing. I repaired a module for somebody, gave it back to them, and then they called me out and said, it still doesn't work. And it wasn't this car, but it was this kind of scenario that led me to, holy crap, I can use this method, and here's why. So this diagram, all we're looking at is, if we actually look inside of the board, there's one component on the board that powers up the MCU. It is a voltage detector, and it has a delay circuit. So the components, there's a hysteresis circuit with an output driver, there's a voltage comparator, and then a delay circuit that uses an NPN pull-up transistor, and then that output voltage energizes the rest of the circuit board. So essentially, if it sees voltage coming in, it compares it to, using the voltage comparator circuit, compares it to ground and notices, hey, we have ignition voltage on, then it's a digital relay, essentially, with a little delay box. That's all that's inside of this circuit we're looking at. These are all the pieces. So, and then it goes, okay, we're going to use an NPN, like a MOSFET, to actually pull ground, or pull power and push it to something else on the board that turns the module on, right? To me, that is all we need to look at, though. This part of the circuit that's internal to this module has the VN comes into this, and this is a TC51 voltage detector. The part number is TC51, most common used voltage detector on a board. And when B plus comes in, if we were to measure, what we measured was this right here, this circuit, from B plus in through 2 resistors to ground. That's all that we did. We were just measuring voltage across that circuit, right? So this part that's a little bitty TC51 that goes on the board right here, that's what we're looking at. So for those that are not aware, that's the piece of this that we're looking at. So when we look at this, that's what we see. This piece is what we're actually testing. So this is what we really did right here in a simplified, just, Microsoft Paint wiring diagram. So I know the first exercise was dumb. Everyone's done that. We get it, Keith. That's how your multimeter works. That's voltage drop. But if you can take that piece of it and understand and take that diagram anywhere, it's no different. This test that we did right here is exactly the same as this. But that switch is somewhere else. It's actually a fuse. The load is actually 2 resistors, and the ground is a ground on the other side of a module, and the B plus is still the battery. It's still the same exact thing. Every test that you do is essentially some version of this, right? So that works on any module. It doesn't matter if it's got a voltage detector or an NPN or a MOSFET or just a FET or battery, an integrated gate bipolar transistor. It's all the same.
It's got to be. It's got to return to ground.
It's got to return to ground. There has to be something, for the most part. Almost every component. It's not the same for every single thing, but that path is the same regardless to ground. So that test of just pulling the fuse out that goes to the controller, that turns the controller on for like IGN or even through a pump motor, the function would work the same. We do this test all the time. We just don't think of it in this way, right? So it was a quick test. So now I know I don't have to chase a power wire or a ground wire to the module, at least for those two. I don't know if it will carry load. I don't know. There's a lot of things I still don't know, right? But if I find it open here, where do I have to go first, right? I can go, okay, now we're getting to the module. We're definitely going to confirm for sure.
Does this work with the power probe?
I kind of do something similar with the power probe, actually.
Yeah, you can. You still can. You can still read either side. So the power probe, the only problem is when you poke a wire, you touch something that's ground, as long as it's less than 1,999 ohms to ground, it will give you a green light and a 0, 0. Anything more than 1,999 ohms, it will actually give you just the 0, 0 and not a green light. If it's over 20,000 ohms of resistance, it'll give you neither the 0, 0 or the green light.
Now, this test that you're doing is theoretically only when it's powering something that when it's powering a module, not powering a specific component, correct?
A component. If it goes, let's imagine it goes, okay, look at a diagram. Is it any different than that?
Yeah, it's any load.
Yeah.
Anything
You can do
that's
it
a
with
solid
anything.
state, anything that's a bulb, if it's the pump motor circuit for that ABS control module, and it's not the communication side, right? How does something that gets a power applied to it then become a load? What has to be there waiting for the power? A ground, right? Mm-hmm. And then hopefully the load is the intended load and not a short or a piece of wire or a fuse or whatever, right? It's the same thing. That diagram that we're staring at is what you do 99.999% of the time in some way or fashion. You just have to imagine it as simple as what it is, and then how can we apply that to go faster, right? So for those that are wondering what my class is about in August 5th and 6th, it's 2 days of this. What's a simple, stupid foundation? What's the foundational electrical, and then how can we apply it to be fast and better, right? How can we take something and make it useful? The hour and a half talks about neurons and quirks and electron flow. That's super cool. I would prefer that you do that some other time besides the 2 days I'm trying to make you a really fast technician. I think you should. I'm totally for it. I'm a mega nerd, but in the 8 hours I'm trying to teach you this part, and then the 8 hours I'm trying to teach the network part, that doesn't help you fix a car.
You're also teaching this class down in Austin, Texas, aren't you?
Yep. The week before, so this next weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend after, on Saturday, I'll teach this class in Austin, and then I'll teach this class all day at ASTE. Yep. Yeah, they gave me 8 hours. So there's plenty of opportunities to teach it. Just only one opportunity to do it 2 days hands-on. So. Okay, Ranto, stop sharing.
All right, man. Very cool.
I wasn't
There you
prepared to learn this.
That's how you test a light bulb.
So let's give it a formal ending, and then whoever wants to hang out.
Well, hold on. There's advanced level diagnostics. Says, don't you still have to get to the module to check if it can carry current?
No.
Or
yeah, but I'm probably deciding at this point, where am I going for my diag, right? What was the concern? So I know I don't have an open circuit, and it's very unlikely the circuit is whole and not able to carry a load, except for this is a collision car. So that car had a open in the communication circuit, in the CAN circuit.
Yeah, where you're in Minnesota and all the grounds are green.
Yeah,
that's
green. Yeah.
That's the one thing about that test. Like, that's an awesome tip, but you could have a lot of resistance, right? Because I can do that through my body and show voltage on the meter, right? And so as long as you're aware of that, it's an awesome tool to get you your next direction.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is not a we diagnosed this car with this test, but it's a this wire is complete all the way through, or I definitely have an open and we have to investigate that.
Right.
So now I need teardown time. Especially if you're like, it will take me 1.5 hours to get to this part. And I went,
Sure.
it's open. I need 2 hours of time before I go any farther. Or you can just pay me my minimum stop fee and I can take off. Because you have an open. So do you want to tear the harness apart or do you want me to tear the harness apart?
Yeah.
Being
Oh,
mobile,
Mike
it's
Reynolds is in there. Mike Reynolds is in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him.
When doing this with a module through, how do you know your voltmeter isn't channeling through something else in the module? Yeah, so you'd have to know.
But if it is, that still means there's a ground on the other side somewhere, and the wire you're touching goes all the way to something. Now, you would hope to see less than battery voltage, because if you see exactly battery voltage, it may just be a short, and in which case your fuse is usually popped. Right? So you saw it was 12.15 volts, and that was through 2 resistors inside of that TC51 circuit. So there's a lot there. Again, it's not like a golden bullet or anything, or a silver bullet or anything.
It's just step one. Yeah.
It's a quick
step
first
one,
step. Yeah.
But it's so all of my guys on the road, we have a small little diag box. We don't have a ton of tools. Usually a test light and a U-scope, and that's about it. That's what we're using 99% of the time to diagnose everything. Is a test light, a U-scope, and a multimeter.
Very cool.
Unless you're Tommy, you got a PP hook.
Right. Woo!
Tommy doesn't leave home without his pee-pee.
Nope. My baby.
All right. Well, we should probably put a formal ending to this. If anybody wants to hang out, they can. But appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Thanks, Tommy, for the case study, and Chris and Keith. Appreciate y'all. Sean and Mario, thank you so much for coming on. Matt ditched us, I think, or maybe he's still
Yeah.
there.
It's got really dark.
Light a candle.
Matt, smile. Smile, Matt.
We gave you so many examples of training opportunities. Get out there, make it happen, but most importantly, come to Accelerate on October 14th. Tommy, you said you mentioned it, one-day training class. It is one day. We wanted to do 2, but being Orlando, we're hoping and kind of expecting that you guys with families would take a day to train and then bring your families and do some pretty cool stuff around Chris Martino's favorite state.
Can't stand Florida. Fucking hate Florida.
Every time you're there, that's
Join
all
the club.
Fucking hate it. Every time I land, I fucking hate it here.
Join the club.
That's the first time
hired
in
a
New
guy-
York. It's the first time a New Yorker has ever said that, I think.
Yeah.
I
You
hired a
forget
guy
that
likes
he's not the right.
Snap-on.
He's not the right color of New Yorker that moves to Florida. FYI here. They're usually from the city, and they're usually brown.
Hey, what's the website that has all the training events in one spot?
Lemonparty.org.
Industry attends.
Thank you, Tommy.
Put it in your browser. Look up.
Don't you guys have one of those training lists in your website?
We do.
Yeah,
Uh,
Brian.
I gotta
Brian's
update
off.
it.
Hasn't,
It
man.
needs to be updated.
We gave up once.
Isn't it
Justin
Industry
Kidd-
attends or whatever?
Yeah, industry attends.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. We gave up when Justin Kidd came up with that site. I think. Well, we probably gave up months before that, really. But
No, I need to update. I didn't give up. It's on hold.
all right.
It really does have a ton of stuff on there in industry.
Yeah.
And a lot
Well,
of
I mean, isn't the concept like you can go on and add your own stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like
Yeah.
you have one person managing it.
You have to get it approved, kind of. It doesn't just show up. I think they kind
Yeah,
of
you send a request
screen
in,
it.
and they usually send
Right.
an email back the following day saying they've added it.
yeah.
Cool.
Well, thanks for having me.
Industry attends. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. And Sean, I
It's
appreciate it.
great to be back.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll see you guys at those events.
Mario, are you gonna send us out with a killer solo? Grip one.
Oh man, for sure.
whip it out.
Keith will get on the bass. I mean, Rich.
Oh man,
Keith
I'll
will
make
get
it
on
your
the Taylor.
speed.
Nah.
Martino
All
just
right,
knows how to
gentlemen.
play the skin flute.
I play real good.
All right. On that note,
No hands.
Yeah.
Nah, you suck.
That's my cue.
Right off the deep end.
Look, mono hands.
Oh my god.
He even did the sound effects. Holy shit.
I think it's time to go.
Yeah, it's time to go.
Oh shit.
Bye.
Well, I'm just.
Brian,
I just-
please end it, Brian.
Oh,
Black.
Dang, this has got to be the shortest one we've ever done.